Are your YouTube videos secretly blocking you from getting views, even when your views look okay on paper? Recently, over 300 creators and experts submitted their channel for a free review, and after going through them, I kept seeing the same 3 mistakes over and over again. These mistakes don't just cost you views, they wreck trust, attract the wrong audience, and quietly kill your leads and sales. So today I'm going to break down 2 real channels, a cycling channel for men over 40 and a weight loss channel promising crazy fast results. And I'll show you exactly what's broken, how I'd fix it, and how you can copy the same changes on your own channel, no matter your niche. This is the same packaging system I have used with clients like Ali Abdel and other 7-figure creators to turn their channel into predictable lead engines and not just chasing views for views' sake. And of course, if you want me to do this with your channel for free, there's a link in the description. Add in your details and you might be in the next video. So first up, we have got Bulletproof Cycling. Max is the head of content for the channel, and he wrote in telling me, our ideal viewer is an older man, 40 to 50 plus, who wants to solve health problems, improve fitness, and focus on longevity through cycling. We want the channel to generate leads for our school community. But here's the problem. The videos that Scott, who is the creator of this channel, wants to create, and the problems that his buyers are actually facing are 2 very different things. And so how can we solve this problem? If we look at this through the lens of the ideal customer profile, Scott is fighting a losing battle between what the creator wants to film and what the buyer needs to solve. And so from what Max has told me, Scott wants to make videos on mindset, but they aren't performing on his YouTube channel. And that's because his audience don't care about mindset yet. This is what we call the expert's curse, where Scott has basically outgrown the basic pains of weight loss, knee pain, and getting left behind on a Sunday ride with his friends, but that's exactly where his audience currently are. And so Scott has graduated to philosophy, but his audience is still at the starting line and they are in physical pain and they want the answers to those problems. And so if we do a strategic breakdown of the channel to see why the current strategy feels inconsistent and how to fix it without Scott basically hating his content calendar, I would recommend that we take a look at his channel and make a few changes. So if we take a look at 2 videos that have overperformed versus 2 that have underperformed, can you see the difference here? If not, it's because you aren't familiar with a concept that I call painkiller versus vitamin content. Right now, Scott is falling into the classic trap of prevention or general improvement content, and those are basically vitamins, and they are effectively nice to haves, but nobody wakes up at 2 a.m. sweating about them. And the fix for Scott is to kind of pivot to cure content, as those are effectively the painkillers that his audience wants. And so ideally, your ratio of content that you're putting out, you want the majority of the content to be your painkillers, not your vitamins. So if we look at this video right here, stop wasting miles, 3 workouts that beat 100 plus weekly miles. It's hit 20k views, which is obviously very good, and it's performed 2.6 times his average. He's got over double and a half of what he usually gets on his videos. So this clearly resonated with his ICP. And I think this video hit 20k views because it speaks the language of a busy 45-year-old who is basically saying, you know, I'm busy, stop wasting my time, show me the shortcut. This is a painkiller type of video. The same with this video right next to it, the Zone 3 Trap, why cyclists over 50 stay tired, not fitter. The subtext here is, you know, I'm doing the work and I'm still failing. Which obviously speaks to their current problem, because a lot of these guys are older. They probably feel that they were, you know, fitter in their 20s and 30s. They remember what it was like, and now they're over 50. They kind of feel like their best days are behind them, and they're trying hard, but they're just getting nowhere. That is an emotional problem that's really going to hurt them, and they're going to feel like they're struggling with that every single day. They're going to feel like there's nothing that they can do about it. And so that video is a painkiller for them. It's giving them some sort of understanding of what's going on in their body and mentally and what they can potentially do to solve it. I think this video probably would have got more than 1.4 million views if it didn't kind of just state it, you know, kind of saying why your cyclists are are over 50 and stay tired, not fitter, I'd probably have, instead of not fitter, and what to do about it, or kind of offer some sort of solution, because they know that they've got a problem. You're stating that they have a problem in the zone 3 trap. If you can then kind of build on that and saying, here's what to do about it, or here's how to, not get tired, you're then also likely to click on it. And it's more of an evident painkiller than just kind of talking about the problem. And so if we compare that to these two videos here, which are the mindset videos that Scott loves to create, this one here, which is, this is the only thing you need to plan for 2026. And this is the age that actually matters. They've underperformed. This is 0.7 times extra views on both of these. And the reason that they've underperformed at the 3 to 4K mark here is because they are vague and philosophical. They kind of lack the urgency and have no immediate threat or pain. And that's your vitamin content. That's not your painkiller content. And I think getting Scott to move away from that is a key thing here for the video to kind of break out every single time and start to get him more leads for his school community. So what we have here is the same creator. He's using the same camera. We've got the same editing. Everything is pretty much the same, but because the mindset content lacks an immediate threat or a pain point, the views drop in half. And so the insight here is that men aged 40 to 50 are time poor and they're frustration rich. They aren't looking for a cycling philosophy. They are looking for a solution to their fat stomach, their aching knees, or the shame of getting dropped by their friends when they're out riding with them on the weekend. And so the market is effectively screaming here, stop selling me vitamins and give me a painkiller. It's very obvious when you look at all of the other top videos that they are solving some sort of problem. So how do we fix this? Well, in my eyes, there are two paths. You can either go down path 1, which is where Scott accepts that he needs to make the basic content that his audience wants, even if he's bored of it. Consistency on YouTube often means repeating the same basic truths again and again in slightly different ways. I think the best YouTubers are the ones who understand this. They kind of see YouTube as a business, not a hobby. And so they do what is required to growth. And if that means repeating themselves, if that means making a video that they are sick of making, they still do it anyway. But a lot of people aren't like that. They are more creators. They want this to be fun. And so that's why you start to see people make content that really they shouldn't be creating, because you're creating what you want to make, not what the audience wants. And so you can't really complain when the audience don't click on your videos, but it's what most creators do. They kind of think, it's not me that's the problem. It's the audience. Why aren't they clicking? And at no point do they ever kind of reflect and look inward and go, maybe it's because I'm creating what I want, not what the audience wants. And so that's path 1. Path 2 is what I call the Trojan horse. So if Scott is going to refuse to make these basic weight loss videos, he has to hide the mindset lessons inside the problems the viewer actually feels. And so, in other words, you package the video around what they want, but you deliver what they need. See, instead of how to have a better mindset on the bike, or something like that as an example, you would title it, Why You Quit on Climbs and How to Fix It. The thumbnail text could be, the 1, 2, 3 method over a photo of a bike going up a hill with some arrows, and some numbers on it to just make it feel like it's a little bit more of a technical adjustment on their bike. It's going to feel like a quick and easy hack. That's likely to get these over 50s clicking. And then once the viewer clicks thinking they're getting a physical hack to their bike or something that they can do with their body, that's when Scott can kind of flip the script on them and say, you think you're quitting because your legs are gone. Actually, your brain is pulling the plug to protect you. Now he gets to do his mindset riff. But the doorway was a very physical, real problem, which was quitting on the climbs. But he's been able to basically have this exact same content, but a different doorway into that lesson. And I think that is likely the solution here if Scott really does want to stick to talking about philosophy on the bike. So Max and Scott, here is your bulletproof action plan for bulletproof cycling. In the next month, I want you to do 3 things. The very first is I want you to ban mindset videos from your titles. So no mindset, philosophy, plan, consistency in the titles, those themes are now going to live inside the videos, not on the title and the thumbnail. The second thing is that you're going to write your titles from symptoms and start every idea by naming the physical or emotional pain that your ICP is likely feeling. And the better you know your audience, the better you will do here, because you'll be able to speak to their biggest burning problems. And if you can nail those and you know what those things are, just keep pummeling those videos out, hitting on those emotional and physical pains, because you're going to get the returning viewers. You're going to get people coming back often for every new upload. Plus, you're going to encourage people to go and binge watch your entire channel because you're consistently helping them solve their burning problems. And so that might be, again, falling behind with friends when they're on a bike trip. That's a very emotional pain when you can't keep up with your friends and they're kind of like going off into the distance. It could be because they're in their 50s. Maybe they've cycled for 20 years and their knees are now hurting, right? Maybe they're always tired. Maybe it's no progress despite training. And then the title of that video should be around that system. And that's when you then deliver the mindset lesson as the explanation. And so lean into painkiller packaging, not vitamins. That's the second thing I want you to do here. And then the third thing inside of your action plan here is to lean into efficiency and fear words that your ICP reacts to. So from looking at your content, the 50-year-old guy is reacting to words like trap, waste, lying to you, over 50, always tired, getting fatter. And that's the language of someone who's busy, frustrated, and slightly scared that his best years are behind him. And so I think if you do that, you stop fighting the algorithm and you start aligning with what your buyers in your audience actually wake up worried about. By the way, if you're watching this thinking that's me, but in a completely different niche, drop your channel in the free review form below. It's in the description and I'll be pulling from that list for my next channel review. And so you could be here on the channel getting reviewed. So channel 2 is Adrian's weight loss channel. Adrian wrote in saying that his ideal viewers are beginners who can't get to the gym and they want results faster than the standard 1 to 2 pounds per week. He told me his titles get great views, but he does feel that he might be clickbaiting his audience, as the moment he transitions from the intro into the follow along workout, people click off the video and he's left with a 2-minute average view duration on a 40-minute video. And so we really do need to fix that. Looking at his channel, his titles are insanely clickable. We have lose 1 pound a day, lose 8 inches in 8 days, without a diet. These are the perfect painkiller promises for his target audience, who I would describe as the desperate dreamer. This is someone who has failed a dozen diets and is looking for a magic pill. But when they click, they're getting hit with a 40-minute workout timer. And that is a massive psychological expectation crash. They've came in for a secret shortcut and then they've been given a marathon. And that's obviously not what they want. And I think that this is very bad, because here's what would happen psychologically within his target viewer's mind. The titles are basically saying, you're going to drop weight very fast with this special trick. And then the thumbnail often shows an easy looking home trick. So it's usually an item like a broom or a bed sheet or a pillow of some kind. And then the very first thing that the viewer sees, after the intro section is, all right, guys, here's a 40-minute follow along workout. And, they're not in the mood to do those things, right? They're probably watching these videos sat on the sofa. And at that moment, they're not ready to start the workout, because the video does not look like a workout video, which you might see from these examples. That you're going into it for an actual workout, which is not what you're getting here. You have to remember who clicked on these types of videos, because this isn't a gym rat. A gym rat is someone who, goes 3 times a week. They have a training plan. They're watching videos on how to fix their form. They kind of have different sets of problems compared to these types of videos, which the ICP to me feels like someone who is just getting started, working out. Maybe they can't actually go physically to a gym. They might have some sort of disability, or maybe they're so overweight, the idea of going to the gym is intimidating. And so they want to do things at home. When you remember that, these are the type of people who are clicking on these videos and isn't a gym rat, you kind of have to, you start to paint a picture in your head of the type of person who's clicking on this. And in my eyes, I would say this is someone, sitting on the couch, half in shame and half in hope. And so they bounce at 2 minutes, into a 40-minute video. As a side note, I've seen a lot of this happen in different niches, but particularly in the business niche. And so there were a lot of titles in the last year for videos that went viral that would say the laziest way to make $10,000 a month. And what you end up with there are beginners and poor mindset individuals who just want the shortcut. And so you can get a lot of views on those types of videos because who doesn't want to, be lazy and suddenly make 10K a month? But to get there, you have to work hard. And for 99% of those people clicking on that video, they aren't going to do the work, which is why those channels eventually, stop getting those high views as people get bored. And so in Adrian's case, you don't just lose a viewer. You've basically taught the algorithm that this video is clickbait and to stop pushing it, which is likely why your videos are flatlining so soon. So let's talk solutions. The good news here is that Adrian has accidentally discovered his magic mechanism. So if we look at his top videos here, do you notice a pattern of any kind? For me, it's very obvious that we have the broom workout, we have the bed sheet workout, we have the toilet paper challenge, the pillow workout. And, why do these work? These work really because they feel like loopholes. A broom workout doesn't feel like a painful exercise. It feels like a hack or a, fun way of working out. And there's a lot of novelty built into that, as most people haven't heard of a broom trick that melts a pound of fat a day. And so curiosity is really spiking with these types of videos because his ICP of a desperate dreamer is kind of really wants to believe that standard exercise is kind of hard and scary and that there must be an easier, faster, more fun way of getting to their dream outcome. Now, before I show you the fix, if you're already doing $10,000 a month and you want your YouTube channel to become a predictable lead engine with more views from your customers, I'll put a link in the description where you can book a free call with me where we can review your channel just like this, but live and together. So here is the fix that I think that Adrian needs to do. I think that he needs to double down on the weird tools, right? There's a lot of novelty there. And so I don't think he should be saying things like full body weight workout. He should still continue to say things like the pillow trick for burning belly fat with a thumbnail text like the pillow method. This clearly is working for him and we just need to fix his retention. So the packaging I think is pretty fine. The second thing here is that we do that by switching to an explainer format. So we're going to move away from workouts to explainer format. And because I think the viewer here who clicks on lose a pound a day is looking for information, not to sweat. And so they want to know how it's actually possible. And so the new video structure that you might have here, especially for the hook, is kind of where you validate the magic trick, right? The trick that's allowing them to actually lose weight at this rapid pace using this novel item that you've packaged the video around. And so you could say something like, you don't need to starve to lose a pound a day. You just need to stimulate, scientific sounding mechanism, whatever it is that this exercise is doing. And then you're using this specific moving pattern. I think if you do that, you kind of get high retention because you've switched over to this explainer role. And this is where you can teach them the concept, show the success stories of your clients and explain why the broom or the towel works better than a gym for the person who can't get to the gym. The psychology here is that this satisfies their need for a secret and they will watch this because they feel they are learning a loophole and that you then have an upsell, which is the actual workout. So you could continue to say things like, now you know the secret, let's do the 10-minute routine together to start losing weight. But I think from a strategy perspective, if you consistently are seeing that this is where they drop off, I think it's fine. You already got the 8 minutes of retention, which is where, you've got 4 times your current average and your viewer satisfaction is likely high here. And so I think that's a positive compared to the videos that you're currently uploading. However, I would recommend that you don't continue with the 40-minute videos, and that you instead just focus on the nutrition and training to this ICP with explainer videos, and then have the workouts within your kind of your paid product that you want them to buy. And in your offer, you make accountability the strong selling point, as this is likely the thing your ICP really needs to see a transformation. And so your 1 to 3 action steps for this channel is, the first thing is that you need to kill the 40-minute follow alongs. I think your audience is lazy by your own definition, and a 40-minute video is just scaring them away. So you're going to need to cap your videos at 8 to 15 minutes. And if they want more, they can rewatch the video or join your program. The second thing is, I think you need to continue leading with the mechanism in your titles and thumbnails, and not the grind. So every title and thumbnail should highlight the weird tool or the secret method that your lazy viewer can believe in. And then the third thing, I think what you need to do here as well is like really validate the claim in that first sentence of the video, in the hook. Because if you say lose a pound of fat a day, the very first line should show, how that's even possible. Because I think most people know that's not true, beyond just water weight. And so if you don't close that logic gap instantly, you lose the trust and the click. And so the final thing here I'd say as well is you should think about experimenting by separating your education from the execution. So you could do this by making videos that explain the plan. So this is your high views, high retention, and then you could link to a separate video, which is the workout. And so that's going to give you high retention and high engagement for the loyal 1% that actually do want to do the work. If you fix the expectation mismatch that you currently have, your audience will likely pay more attention, and the algorithm will forgive you because your viewers will actually stick around. And so if you saw yourself in any of these channels today and you want specific packaging help for your niche and your channel, you can add your channel to the free review list in the description below. I pull from that form for videos like this all of the time. And just to touch on this again, like if there's one thing that you need to remember, is that great packaging is super important to getting the click, but selecting the right video ideas is even more crucial to getting high views. And so I'd recommend that you watch this video next, where I show you how to never run out of high view video ideas, even if you're stuck.